Imagine yourself sitting alone in your car. Suddenly, you are approached by two young children asking for a ride. Though you can't put your finger on it, something seems off. As your anxiety rises, the children look up, and you find yourself staring into solid black eyes. You're listening to the Mysterious Brews Podcast, and tonight we bring you the case of the Black-Eyed Children.
Welcome to a deep, dark, dank, moist basement.
And fucking cold.
It's a little chilly now.
Yeah, we had that 1 week of fall.
Yep.
And now it's full-blown winter.
It was 44 degrees this morning when I walked to my truck. When I got to work, it was 34.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Welcome to Georgia, boys. If you don't like the weather, close your eyes. It'll change.
Whew.
It's been one of them weeks,
I hope we
Coach.
get some snow, man. That's what I'm
That's
hoping.
what they're saying Tuesday.
There's as an educator, you can agree with me that there are no two better words in the English language put together
Snow day.
than the two words of snow day.
I don't know who's
The only thing
more disappointed when it's not a snow day, the teachers or the kids.
There's nothing better than a snow day other than when they announce the snow day the night before.
Oh, yeah, because then you're like,
And you still,
I don't have to get up.
You still got time to go to the store to get you some, provisions. A 12-pack of provisions.
Lovely, lovely.
So, well, all right, man. We're back. We took a week hiatus because of me. I'm back from Kansas City and competing.
He did quite a awesome job.
Not too
He
bad.
retraced BTK's steps, and I'm just joking.
Was it?
He was in Park City, Kansas.
Oh, okay. Well, I did go to the President Hotel, which we may have to do that case, the room 1046.
It's a little fucked up.
I forgot his name. But anyway, look up room 1046. Crazy case. Roland T. Owen, that's the guy's
That's
name.
it, yep.
But yeah, we checked that out. That was pretty cool. They that room, quote unquote, doesn't exist according to the people that work there, but off the record, they're like, yeah, it's that one that we don't use.
Yeah, it's that one that nobody wants to stay in.
It's the one where it's painted white and doesn't have a number on it anymore.
Yeah.
So anyway, what are we drinking?
This week's brew of the week is Monday Night Brewing's Space Lettuce. It is a double IPA brewed with a plethora of flaked wheat. It's dry hopped 3 separate times using Citra, Mosaic, you can say Euconaut, Simcoe, Mandarin Bavaria, and Columbus hops.
You can tell you're reading that because you use the word plethora.
You're right. I do like the word plethora, but you're right. It was
It's not in your normal.
It's not in my repertoire.
Not in your normal vocabulary, man.
But it is a double IPA. It's a little on the dry side. But, again, Monday Night does not disappoint. The only thing I have had from them that I don't care for, but obviously a lot of people do, is their Scotch Ale.
I'm not a Scotch Ale guy.
I'm not a Scotch Ale guy either. I'm not a Scotch guy either. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
Probably, but yeah.
And I love how, like, my dad's generation's always like, Scotch is an acquired taste. No, it's shit.
I mean, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've had Scotch, but
Give me a good bourbon and I'll be fine.
oh yeah, bourbon is definitely the Cadillac of liquors, man.
Yeah.
Them Kentuckians know what they're doing.
Yeah. Take some white oak and some corn.
That's good stuff, man.
All right, like Coach alluded to in the opening, we are tackling the crazy
It's a little bit different of a case for us.
story.
People I'm sure have heard of them, but this isn't just one case we're going to run through. This is more of a more of a generalized topic rather than a specific case. We're going to mention several encounters with these specific creatures, and we're going to decide whether or not we think they're real.
That's right.
Dun, dun, dun.
And this really all starts with one man
Well,
and and I wouldn't say starts. He's, I guess, the first story that went viral.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his story that really reignited his story, because he published his story in the Abilene Reporter News when he was just a beat reporter. But the Destination America channels Mysteries, Monsters, and something, I can't remember the title of that show, but anyway, they had a specific segment on black-eyed kids, and they found his article, invited him over, and got him to talk about it.
Yeah, pretty neat little scenario there. In 1998, he was going to, well, I don't know if it was 1998. It was reported in 1998.
Right.
But
I think it actually happened in 96.
yeah, I think so too, because I was in high school in 98, and I was in middle school when he was trying to see this movie that the children were going to see Mortal Kombat. So, Brian Bethel, sitting in his car, writing a check in Abilene, Texas. Two children approach his car. They are asking to go to their mom's house to retrieve money so they can go see Mortal Kombat. Which, if you're an alien species or a demon from hell,
You want to go see Mortal Kombat.
you're really going to go see Mortal Kombat? I mean, come on. I mean,
Yeah, he states that he was actually not paying attention, and he was writing a check to his internet service provider at the time. He was trying to pay his bill, so he didn't see, he was concentrating on that, and all of a sudden,
internet in 96?
that's what it says.
In Texas?
That's what it said. That's what it said. That's what the man said now.
I don't know.
Says, I had gone down to the former site of Camelot Communications, one of the area's original internet providers, to pay my bill.
There you go. Dial up. AOL, baby.
Yep. Anyway, he's...
Well, you're going to have that shit.
Yeah, all of that out. So he's sitting there writing a check, and he hears on his window. Let me just explain to you. If it was broad daylight and I'm engrossed in writing a check and somebody knocks on my window, I'm going to shit myself because it startles you. But this is the dead of night. He's using the marquee lights from a theater to see. Yeah. And he turns and sees.
I'm not even just startle you, man. I'm telling you, like, unfortunately, I am a big gentleman. I'm a big man. I do jiu-jitsu. I compete all over the country. But when you scare me, I scream like a damn girl.
Yeah, me too.
If
you startle me,
like a small, dainty woman, it's terrible. I can't help it. So, the black-eyed kids, if they ever approach my car and startle me, they'll probably just walk away because
they're like, oh no,
nah, we ain't taking them. This soul ain't worthy.
He had stated in his original article he thought that the two were anywhere between 9 and 12, and they were dressed in hooded pullovers before hoodies were the cool thing to have.
Well, when were hoodies not the cool thing to have?
Well, there was an area back in that.
I've always had a hoodie.
Well, I've always had a hoodie too, but
there you go. And
it wasn't called hoodies back then, buddy. They were just hooded sweatshirts.
We're like the coolest dudes around, man.
And here's what I love about Tangent. I love how my son now is like, you seen my sweater? I've never bought you a sweater.
What the fuck is a sweater?
Oh, you mean your sweatshirt that's got a fucking hood on it? Oh, yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, your hoodie?
No, Dad, that's a sweater. No, it's not. I will go buy you a V-neck sweater, and you can rock it.
Oh, you want a sweater?
With some penny loafers. Tight roll them pants.
Penny loafers. God dang, you are old. I forget how old you are.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
Old man.
The way you put it, I mean, I got one foot in the grave and one waiting on the damn Social Security check.
Wow.
But anyway, back to the case, ladies and gentlemen. So he cracks his window just a little bit, and he's thinking they're about to ask me for some money or something like that. And he says immediately he's gripped with this soul-wrenching fear, and he had no idea why. And this will be an underlying current in most of these stories.
So I'm a firm believer in your instincts, man. If your instincts tell you something's bad, something's wrong, you really need to trust it. And if an overwhelming feeling of fear comes over you, there's a reason for it. So trust that. And we're going to go on a tangent again. This happened to me one time when I was a child. We stopped at a convenience store on the way back from Douglasville. And my mom goes inside to pay for the gas. I'm just sitting in the car. And there's a man in a van pumping gas. And when he looked at me, I cannot describe the feeling of fear that came over me. But I looked at this man. I promise you, he killed somebody. Promise you. But
was it a white man?
Many years later. No, it was like I don't even remember. But
Uncle Rico?
Many years later. Something like that, yeah. From Napoleon Dynamite, yeah, something like that. Many years later, I'm watching a documentary called The Iceman and the Psychiatrist. And Richard the Iceman Kuklinski describes about one time when he was in Georgia, and there was a road rage incident, and he murdered 3 people on the road. Guess what he was driving?
A van.
A fucking van.
Was it? Did you see the Iceman?
I'm convinced I did, because the man I saw did have a beard. He was a heavy-set man with bald. He was a brown beard at the time, and he was balding. I'm convinced that I saw Richard Kuklinski, and my spidey senses went off. I have never ever had more of a irrational fear of somebody that I didn't know. That was the only time it ever happened. It's never happened again. But the moment I looked at that man, I was fucking terrified.
Well, I know a lot of people, when we talk about true crime and stuff like that, it's called a mother's intuition. When they know there's a moment in time when they can't get in touch with their child, that they know.
They just know.
It's a gut-wrenching feeling that they know something's not right. And going back to the case, he says that out of these 2 boys, there was one that he's going to call the spokesman, and the other one, it just kind of stands in the background. The spokesman, he said, was kind of suave. He was olive-skinned, curly-headed young man. The other one that stood in the background was a red-headed, pale-skinned, freckled young man. He said the spokesman basically told him that him and his friend needed a ride because they were going to see the movie, like you said, Mortal Kombat, but they had left their money at their mother's house, and asked, can you give us a ride? He said that's plausible enough, but all throughout this conversation, he said that irrational fear kept growing, and he said that he had no reason to be frightened of them, but he was terrified of them. He said that after a little bit more conversation between the spokesman and himself, that he glanced up at the theater marquee down at his clock in his car, and he said that on the marquee, the last show of the night for Mortal Kombat had already started. And by the time that he could have driven the boys anywhere and back, the movie would practically have been over, and the theater would have been closed. He said the whole time that these thoughts are going through his head, that the kid keeps saying, it won't take long, we're just 2 little kids, I don't have a gun or anything. And he said that part was the most unnerving of the whole conversation.
Would it be less unnerving if he said he did have a gun?
I don't know, that's still fucked up.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said that he had noticed that unintentionally that his hands started moving towards the door lock. And he said that he pulls it away a little too violently and broke his gaze with the spokesman. And he said that something, when he broke the gaze, happened in his mind, and he said he come just an all-consuming fear, body tingling, sweats, all of that. He said, and both of them stared at him with those coal black eyes.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is. He said that he's freaking out inside. He's trying to appear calm. He's trying to appear sane. He said that he apologized to the kids. He had made whatever excuses came to his mind, all of them designed to get him the hell out of there and fast. He said now the fear is almost like choking him. It's hard for him to swallow, and he said that he feels like he's about to have a nervous breakdown. And then, this is one of the underlying currents of all these stories. He said that the boy looked at him with confusion and banged sharply on his window as he's rolling it up. And he said that the boy's words were full of anger and said, "We can't come in unless you tell us it's okay. Let us in." And he said that it's at that time, he said he just...
Deuces.
Yep, floors it. He said, "I'm lucky I didn't sideswipe cars in the parking lot." He said, "I'm not looking back." He said as soon as he's peeling out, he glances up in the rearview mirror thinking they're going to be chasing him. He said, and there's no one in the parking lot. They were gone.
And the fact that he reports this, he writes a report and publishes it in the newspaper, gives credence to it because he knows his reputation's on the line. He's not just going to fabricate something like this and allow people to criticize him. And heck, people think you're crazy. You could possibly lose your job. You could, you're in the public eye like that. People lose confidence in you. They're not, and so, but he risked all that to report what he saw. So to me, that gives a little credence to the event actually happening. Maybe he misinterpreted, maybe he, maybe it wasn't exactly how he remembers it, but I'm saying something happened.
He said that basically he had written this story down, shared it with a little bit of his close friends, and then published it, and then it just took off. Like you said, in '98's when it really took off. And then he states that he's still listed in the phone book. He doesn't try to hide his identity, and he still gets calls. He still gets emails. He even had a Korean television show call him for a New Year's Eve special on Black Eyed Kids. And so he's kind of just embraced it. And I guess that's something that you would have to do. If you're going to put it out there, you're just going to have to take, be not real nonchalant where you come off as I faked it, but come off as in, yeah, that's what happened. I don't mind talking about it. But
in almost every single report of these, there is the same MO with the kids. So they're almost always described the same exact way. They're children between the ages of 6 and 16, mostly boys. They have very pale skin. Their eyes are completely black. There's no cornea, there's no iris, there's no I can't remember the other. There's 3 parts to the eye. I can't remember.
But it's basically soulless.
Yeah, just like 8 balls without the number, just solid black eyes. They wear out of date or strange clothing. And even though it's the black eyes that make them look very strange, it's not really their appearance that frightens people. It's just a overall feeling of terror that overtakes the people. It's not necessarily what they look like. It's not necessarily what they say. It is just a presence.
Yeah, and he states at the end of this article that I've referenced, and we'll put this link on our social media pages. He states, he said, "Do I expect you to believe me blindly? Of course not. I might not believe it myself if I heard such a story from someone else. What did I see? Your guess is literally as good as anyone." He said, "I've had everything from vampires to demons to ghosts to aliens to somewhat detailed hallucinations poised as possibilities, but I can't say for certain." He said, "I do feel like I can say with authority this was back in the day when freaky coal black contacts weren't widely available to a couple of kids in Abilene, Texas."
I don't think there's a lot of hot topics around Abilene, You know what I'm saying?
And he said there wasn't even enough time to put this in to play if it was what he felt like was a hoax.
Yeah.
He said that he goes back to breaking the spokesman's gaze. He said, "Will I ever know for certain what it was? Probably not. Do I ever care to see them again? Absolutely hell knows," what he said.
So, almost every reported sighting of the children, also they are asking for something. They typically show up when you are alone, at your house or in a car, but they always ask for something. They ask to go inside. They ask for a ride. They ask you for something. But there not one single solitary story out there of what happens if you say yes to the children. If they say, can we come inside? And you say yes. There's no reports about what happens there.
Now, Reddit's got a couple of threads, and I didn't click on them because they're all videos, and I'm pretty sure the school system I work for would not like for me to watch these kind of videos on their dime. But there are supposedly, and I've not watched them, so I can't say for certain, but supposedly there are tales of people that have let a couple of them in, and they have suffered radiation poisoning.
Really?
And that's I'm just putting that out there right now because I did not research.
What happened when they let them in? That's what I'm curious.
Missing time, woke up, kind of an alien abduction kind of thing. But then, not an alien abduction type. This is not, but it's one of those missing times. When I answered the door, it was 9:30. The next thought that I had, I realized it was 2 a.m. and somehow I was in my bed. Those kind of things. And then they get extremely sick. They go to the doctor and they're like, you've been exposed to some sort of radiation. But I did not research that avenue. If you are interested in that and you have seen any of that, please leave us some comments on any of our social media pages and continue this. And more than likely we can possibly go back and do a microbrew episode on that side of it if there is some interest in it. It was another anonymous report about an encounter on a road in Utah. It said a man had gotten sleepy going home and had stopped, pulled over on the side of the road basically to take a power nap. And all of a sudden, the same type of thing happened. There's a knock on his window, cracks the window. He said this time the two kids were wearing strange clothing, and they had the same old-fashioned bowl haircuts.
Like Children of the Corn.
Yeah. And he said that he asked, "Can I help you?" And the leading child said yes, and that we need to get in your car and you need to give us a ride to town. He said, and same thing, he's enveloped with an awful fear, terror, paralysis. His mind screamed to just roll the window up and drive away, but his body refused to obey. He said the children appeared to be amused as he struggled to get his hand away from the window again to try to roll down the window again. He said this time, in this case, when the boy that was speaking smiled, he revealed that he had metallic teeth. Yeah. And I guess when he broke his gaze and looked at his teeth, he realized his hand was going for the door lock. He jerked it back, and it kind of broke the spell. And he said that he had already rolled the window down unintentionally a little bit, and the kid had grabbed his sleeve. The man says that somehow he jerks his arm away about the same instance he starts the car. He said as he dumps it in drive and looks up, the kid now is standing in front of the car. He says as he goes to put his foot on the accelerator, the kid slams his fist on the hood, and the man is so consumed with fear he didn't care. He was running over him because he knew this wasn't really a boy. And he said there wasn't a thump, there wasn't nothing, kind of like the boy wasn't really there. He said that as he's peeling off, getting back onto the road, he looks in the rearview mirror. He said, and the kid kind of is standing behind the car, kind of just dusting his sleeves off like he had been knocked down. He said, but there was no damage to his car or nothing. And again, fuck that. Fuck that.
I'm not really wanting to encounter one of these things.
No. Now, going home tonight, if I see a kid walking down the side of the road, I'm going to be like, blinders. I'm not looking, making eye contact. Teenage kid, nothing. Now, there are some theories about black-eyed kids, but we won't get into those until later. Now, these stories, a lot of them are prevalent in America. There are some that are said to have occurred in England.
Mm-hmm.
There was a case in England. It was called the Cannock Chase case in the West Midlands of Stratfordshire. Yes. And this is kind of centered around an area where 3 schoolgirls were murdered in the 60s. A mother is picnicking in the area with her daughter. They hear a child calling for help, so they ran towards the cries, but they couldn't find anybody. Looked around, couldn't find anybody. So they try to catch their breath, and as they turn around, there's a little girl standing right in front of them with both her hands over her eyes that appeared to be around 10 years old. Said the woman asked her if she was all right, and when she removed her hands from her eyes were completely black. She said it startled the woman. She stepped away quickly, grabbed her daughter's arm, and when she looked back, there was nobody there.
Whew. I'm here to tell you, man, if you're a child out there and you have like black contacts,
that's a good way for your ass to get beat down.
That's what I'm saying. Don't wear that shit around me, because after death, I'm just straight up just popping you.
Yeah. You are getting popped right in the nose. Now, there are probably, I guess, we'll touch on some of the more prevalent cases. They state that this is a photo of a real black-eyed kid, and this still just looks like it's been doctored, but we'll
see.
It's on the Thought Catalog article. There's a couple of encounters with people in a public place, but then all of a sudden they kind of like turn the corner and there's nobody really there, and then the kid's there. But there are some facts that are kind of like Coach had stated that are kind of prevalent in all these stories. One of them is the black-eyed kids will look normal, but they are between the ages of 6 and 16 with real pale skin, completely black eyes. The feeling of uneasiness, and I wouldn't even say that. It's a feeling of a slow terror building in you is what a lot of them state that they see or they feel when they see one of these black-eyed children. A lot of people report that they have talents for feet or other demonic attributes.
That's a rare though. That's not the most prevalent.
I was going to say that the only thing I had seen about that was this one story. I don't see where that's a lot of facts about them.
What's very strange to me is the fact that there are no pictures. There's no credible pictures. There's no sort of documentation of any kind. No video evidence, no security footage, no pictures. But when you look up stuff on the internet and the Google, everything you find you can clearly tell is just Photoshop, fake,
Yeah.
Like even some of the fakest things you've ever seen have more convincing photographs than what they are purported as evidence for these children. So there's literally nothing. There's not even to tell me that these things happen.
Well, there's that
in public.
There's one video of like a trick-or-treater. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
I don't know if I could even find it. I'll try to, but supposedly it's like a trick-or-treater, like doorbell camera, where this kid comes up and he's not really wearing a costume. He just keeps asking to come in, and for some reason, the guy, I guess, has that sense of dread come over him, and he's like, I'm not letting these fuckers in. A lot of the theories state that people, after they have had encounters with them, feel like that either these kids are some sort of energy vampire, true vampire, some sort of alien, or some sort of demonic entity.
Well, it doesn't make any real sense, though, the rule of they have to get your permission to come in. why would an alien or event? Why is there that stipulation to them? Why is it we can't come in unless you let us in? That would, to me, would seem more demonic. Maybe there's some sort of, I don't know. I have no idea. But why the fuck would an alien?
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, why the fuck would an alien have that caveat? I mean, that's just dumb.
Now we'll touch on, since we're talking about the "you must let me in" kind of situation. You know, there's another story, and this was dated March 17th, 2008. This person states that they had their one and only encounter with a black-eyed kid. Basically, they had never heard of black-eyed kids before this. Said that this encounter occurred when the author was 12, and he was sitting in a Chevy pickup truck waiting for his mom to get finished with her haircut. He said about 15 minutes had passed, and he saw some kid walking back and forth along the sidewalk in front of the truck. He states that he thought he had recognized him as one of his friends from school, so he bangs on the front of the windshield thinking, hey, it's, so-and-so. But then the child looks at him, and he says that as soon as he looks at him, he realizes it's nobody he's ever seen before, and all of a sudden, like you said, this overwhelming sense of fear comes over him. Says that the boy walks over to the side of the car/truck and just stares at him. And he said that he starts to freak the fuck out. And he said the boy whispers to him, "You must let me in." And that's when he reaches over and locks the doors. Ducked down into the space between the seat and the glove box. And basically the next thing he knows, his mama's getting into the truck, and said that a boy had come into the hairdresser's shop asking for the keys to her truck, and that she must give him the keys to her truck. And she refused. Again, fuck that. I'm out.
Like, no, I'm good, man. I just, And just the fact that if you do encounter one of these kids and you do decide to kick the shit out of them, people that see that aren't going to understand.
He's curb stomping a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Whoop his ass.
No, he's a demon, man. I'm telling you. You got to believe me. Like,
he showed me his metal teeth.
Yeah, he has metal teeth. So, yeah, I mean...
Now, there are a couple of instances of these kids, kind of showing themselves around Halloween, I guess. But if a black-eyed kid shows up on Halloween, that would be the most freaky-ass situation ever. You're expecting kids with, goblins and ghouls, and all of a sudden this little fucker with a bowl haircut shows up, solid black eyes. And a lot of them are, can we just come into your house and use the phone, is another ploy that they use. And that was, I think, one of the more prevalent stories, and it's called the Midnight Caller. And this lady states that she woke up to her dog, Lucy, barking in the middle of the night.
Oof.
And she had a 22-month-old daughter. And she gets up and looks out the door and sees a stranger that was rummaging around outside. And then she says she lets the dog out for some reason, and the dog starts freaking out, runs back inside. She goes to the door to show the dog that there's really nothing to be concerned about, and she gets this overwhelming sense of fear, and so she's trying to play it off like, look, goofball, there's nothing out there. All of a sudden, the dog gets real angry, a violent growl, something that she has never heard come out of the dog before. Mm-hmm. She looks back outside for some reason, she said, and she sees 2 children. One was a little bit shorter than her, which she states that she's 5'5", and this one looked to be 16 or 17, real slender, real pale. The hair was a real light shade of blonde, had real blunt bangs that covered most of her eyes. She had on jeans, a light wash, stone wash, I guess, and then she had on some kind of hoodie. She held the hand of a smaller girl that looked to be 3 or 4. But this girl had the same jeans on, but she had like an old-timey button-down cardigan. And
no idea what that is.
It's a sweater. Damn. Killing me over here. Said the smaller one just kept looking at the floor, and she had a small stuffed toy under her arm. The other arm. She's holding on to her, what appears to be her older sister. She said again, this overwhelming sense of dread and fear washed over her. She said if it hadn't have been for that overwhelming sense of fear, she probably would have asked the children to come in because it was really cold that night. And said the older one starts to speak and had a real mature voice, confident and strong, but didn't have an accent, and said, "We have to use your phone." And the lady says, "I'm sorry, I can't let you in." And said the older one starts to get more forceful with her voice. "Our mother is worried. We have to use your phone." Again, fuck you. It ain't happening. Said the lady, she steps even closer to the door. "Just let us in. We have to use your phone." She said at first she appeared to be polite, but by the third, order of using the phone, she has gotten real forceful. And again, this lady states that there's like some kind of uncontrollable thing. She catches herself reaching towards the deadbolt to undeadbolt the door to let them in. And so that's something else that's kind of, they all kind of like catch themselves about to let them in.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's another, no, ain't happening.
No. Well, I have a few incidents from, is that all of that? I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That was it.
I have a few incidents I got from a website called Thought Catalog I was going to share with you. That's a really good website.
It is. They have a lot of stuff on
If you are
there.
a reader, excellent. Go for it.
And they have anything. I mean, self-improvement, health tips.
Good website.
Yeah. As we like to look at, the fucked up side of Thought Catalog.
Yeah. There's a lot of that too. So, all right, this one is this is just user submitted stories. So they said this incident took place 13 years ago. I had just moved to a new city with my wife, and we were small town newlyweds from the Midwest. We moved cross country to one of the biggest cities in the Southwest. Being naive to the new city living, I habitually answered the door without a second thought, and never again after this. The first thing that should have tipped me off to the peculiarity of the situation was the fact that someone was knocking at 6 in the morning. Second thing that should have dawned on me is that this kid had to reach over a rather tall patio gate to unlatch it and open it. The knock on the door was startling. My wife and I were getting ready for work, pretty normal routine. The moment I opened the door, I was overtaken with an inexplicable sense of fear. Same M.O. To this day, I can picture him. Teenager, average height, average build, knee-length, black leather coat, short black hair, and sunglasses. The sunglasses at 6 a.m. struck me as odd, and even more odd, he was eating an apple. I don't know why that's odd, but okay.
Out of fucking nowhere.
Well, the apple does get a little strange in just 1 second. So he was very polite and asked if he could come in and warm up. I said no, closed the door, and slid the security chain into its place. A moment later, another knock. I opened the now chained door, and before I could speak, he asked again if he could come in and warm up. No, I replied, and attempted to close the door. Before the door could shut, he put his hand out, stopping the door on its hinges. He looked directly into my eyes, still wearing his sunglasses, and said, "Can I at least get some ketchup for my apple?"
Fuck you. That right there should tell you that they're not from this world.
Fuck that, I replied, albeit a little confused. "Get the hell out of here. My wife is calling the police." He takes a moment to let this information sink in, lowers his glasses, revealing eyes as black as obsidian, and says, "No, you won't be calling anybody. At that moment, I force the door closed, lock it, and call out to my wife. She is scared shitless, hiding in the bedroom. All jacked up on adrenaline, I rip the curtains back to look out the window. Next to the door, he's gone. Absolutely no trace of him. I go out on the patio to check the gate. It's still latched from the inside. That was fucked up, I think to myself, and as I turn to enter the house, I notice a half-eaten apple lying on the ground. So.
No.
No.
Ain't happening. Fuck you, fuck this. I'm out.
Peace out, y'all. I'm just here to tell you, our dear listeners have not had the pleasure of meeting my wife. But there is no hiding in the bathroom for my wife. If someone knocks on my door at 6 in the morning, my wife's going to have our shotgun. She's going to be hiding right behind the wall as I answer the door with that shotgun in her hand. And as soon as she knows something needs to be done, she going to get after it. You're going to hear that and it's going to be on.
You going to be picking some buckshot out of your eyes?
My wife is a certified badass, and she don't play.
She don't. She still scares me.
But sweet as pie until she ain't.
That's right.
And
then you know it.
All right, here's another one. I live in a big city in southern British Columbia. I had just gotten home from The Conjuring.
Well, there's your fucking problem. Yeah. You went to see The Conjuring, you dumb bastard.
Scary shit, I'm telling you. So I was lurking on the /r/creepy on Reddit, and I heard a knock on the door. I walk over confused because I live alone and I'm a recluse. As I approached the door, I felt pure terror. Same MO. The feeling you get when you feel like death is imminent or you're facing your biggest fear. When I opened the door, I was shaking madly. I was staring into the face of a 6'3" teenage girl. She was still about 4 inches shorter than me, but I felt like I was about to faint. She asked if she could, quote, enter the premises, end quote.
Well, you can't let them in if they talk like that.
Because her mom had left town and she lost her keys. She claimed she needed a couch to sleep on and was cold. I blinked and I screamed bloody murder, slamming the door in her face. I ran to my room and grabbed my revolver. I sat in the recliner facing the door until I dozed off. When I woke up, I looked outside and she was gone, but the word soon was scratched weakly into the door.
Fuck that.
Hail to the no.
To the no. There was a Reddit story that I've got, and it is what happened to my friend. It says, so a month ago, my friend was talking to me about these creepy-ass kids that were hanging around his house. He seemed scared, like he was about to shit his pants, and he doesn't scare easily. He said they always wanted to use his phone and wanted to come in, but he always said no. A week ago, he told me he was going to let them in, and I didn't really give it any attention. But he's been missing ever since, and I've gone over to his house, but it's empty, and his cell phone number isn't going through. Does anyone know what happened to him? I've heard about these black-eyed kids just now, and I don't know what they do. Is he alive? Please help. I'm seriously freaked the fuck out.
No. So here's another one. It says, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm in my early 20s. I just moved into this apartment, and I tend to live in a very private life. I don't even have a Facebook account. I work during the day at a grocery store. Okay, so I'm walking up my flight of steps to get to my apartment, and I hear these kids laughing, and then I heard whispering. Never a good sign. It was kind of late, so I thought this was weird, but I ignored it and walked into my apartment. I live on the 3rd floor. I was getting ready to open my balcony door, and it was really muggy in my apartment. Because it was really muggy in my apartment, I walk over to the door and I pull my blinds, and there's 2 kids are fucking staring back at me. I screamed and backed away, smashing my leg into the table. They were both in blue jeans, and the oldest, I guess because he was taller, had on a green shirt with white stripes, and the younger one had on a button-up light blue shirt. The oldest one touched my sliding door, said, "Hey, miss, can you let us in?" The younger one just kept looking around. I still just stared at them. Finally, I was able to say, "How'd you get on my balcony?" I walked to the door and noticed how excited the older one got. He moved closer to my entrance and said, "Can you let us in?" I wasn't thinking, and I unlocked the door. And when I looked up, their eyes were black. their entire eye. I quick locked the door, and I told them I had to call the police because my door was jammed and I couldn't unlock the door. So I called the police, and the oldest boy pleaded with me the entire time to let them in. The police arrived about an hour ago. They came in and walked to my balcony. When they opened my balcony door, nothing was there. They looked down and saw 2 children. They were running in the parking lot away from the building. They took a report and said that they had to have had help getting up there, and they would question the neighbors. I'm freaking out. I'm crying. I don't want to stay here, but then again, I don't feel safe going outside right now. Man.
No.
If these stories are in fact true, that's some fucked up shit, man. Like,
no.
You want to talk about nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I'm like her. I'm not staying in that goddamn apartment, even if it is on the 3rd floor.
No. Well, I mean, clearly they can get up there.
Yeah.
I would be getting a police escort and going somewhere the fuck away from there. So we could keep going about these cases, but every case, as weird as they are, is going to be the same general encounter. They're going to ask you for something. They're going to want something from you. They want permission to come inside. They want permission to do something. And you're going to be fucking scared shitless. And it's just going to be an overall strange situation. But the question remains. Questions, rather. Is this legit? Are they real? If they're real, what the fuck are they? Are they just kids playing pranks? Are they demons? Well, I mean, what is going on?
And there's theories upon theories out there about. Some theories I've seen tie them to similar entities of the Men in Black.
Mm-hmm.
That they are almost like a glitch in the Matrix. They're trying to hold this, I guess, persona that they're trying to put forth. And so it's, draining on the person that's having the encounter, but at the same time it's draining on the, quote, black-eyed kids. I'm with you on this one. Let's just go back to, there's probably, what do you say, a couple of hundred encounters, and they're starting to get more and more. This is becoming a worldwide phenomenon. I know I touched on the fact that earlier that it was more prevalent in the U.S., and then there was a couple of cases in the U.K., but supposedly since 2014 they're starting to pop up even more and more worldwide. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like you go to alien encounters, UFOs, or Bigfoot. If 5% of them are true, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And you touched on the fact of why is there not, some kind of security camera footage, and we know how shitty they can be, but at the same time, some kind of, grainy security footage, a blurry photo, a kid.
You would think there would be some kind
of some kind of evidence of a child in a situation that's just not right. Again, I don't know. I have no idea. But again, if you want to read more and more of these, there's plenty of YouTube videos out there about them. There's a whole Reddit thread that if you just type in black-eyed kids in Reddit, it comes up with a lot of those videos that I touched on earlier. They are just fucked up. And I think the Reddit sub-post, I guess is what you would call it, is r/black-eyed kids stories. And there are pages upon pages and videos upon videos upon videos upon videos. And some of those are the ones about they've let them in, they're now real sick. Again, it's just fucked up. And we didn't keep a tally of the what the fuck, but just go back to every story we talked about, and you can put them about 3 per story.
It's like a choose your own adventure.
Yeah. Insert a what the fuck wherever you feel like it.
Insert your own what the fucks. But I've read during my research, a lot of people were just chalking this up to creepypasta. Just made up stories that people just entertainment trying to freak people out. Which a good bit of these probably are, but that doesn't what about the story in the newspaper, the original post? What happened there? Why would he put that in the newspaper as a factual story, putting his reputation on the line? Why would he do that if it was just bullshit? You know what I'm saying? Like, why? Why do it? I think that one has a lot of credibility to it.
Yeah, I think the fact that he
printed
it, he's not shied away from still talking about it. He states in the article that I referenced that we'll put on our social media that he did go through a little bit of time where he was like, fuck it, I'm tired of talking about this. And then he kind of just embraced it like, hell, I'm just going to talk about it. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm going to stand by my story. I think that goes a long way. He's not shied away from the public. He's never changed his story. And so I'm like you. I think that is a credible sighting / encounter. And it was, again, if you want to look at one of the older episodes of Monsters and Mysteries in America.
That's the name of it.
Yeah.
Figured it out. On
the Travel Channel, they replay all of the Destination America stuff. But I'm sure you can Google Monsters and Mysteries in America / Black-Eyed Kids, and they'll come up with that little thing, and you can actually see, his story. He recounts it, and they kind of do a dramatization of it. It's crazy. If any of our listeners have had an encounter, we would love to hear your encounter. Again, this is something that we can come back to in a microbrews episode and touch on what happens when they let them in.
If we get a story, I assure you, we will be talking about it in some manner.
This is just an open-ended question, I feel like, with this topic that we touched on today. I want to... all right, so we'll go ahead and tackle this. We've kind of skated around it now. Is our theories, and I'll kick us off on what I think's going on. I think I'll just go ahead and I think there's some kind of tie to the Men in Black. Not that it's the same kind of thing where they target UFO encounter people, but it's one of the it's along the same. I guess my theory would be that it's along the same kind of lines of a Men in Black. This is not something from this world. I don't think they are demonic in the sense of a specter, ghost kind of demonic. I think they have some demonic tendencies, I guess, as you would say.
Well, but if they're Men in Black related, I mean, what's the point? What is the encounter? Why are they children? Men in Black's hiring kids?
Well, I think the children thing would be, if you're in. This is so out there, but I'll just go ahead and hell, we use space lettuce as our beer of the week. So, I think children are more disarming than some pale-skinned 6-foot-tall guy with a black suit. I think, you have a better tendency of letting your guard down with the child, but that overwhelming sense of dread is what's tipping everyone off.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents. And like they always say, everybody's got an opinion, and mine's probably stinky.
I definitely know that's true.
So, Coach, what's your theory?
Well, given excluding the very first story, I think the vast majority of these are simply made up. I really do think that. I think it's mostly a creepypasta that people have jumped on and really ran away with it. I can't explain the first sighting, and even with that, if all of these are made up except for that one, then what the fuck happened that one time? Well, who were they? What? So, though I do think the vast majority of them are made up, I don't have an explanation for the first one or others that may be legitimate.
I was going to say, it almost ties into almost like a Project Blue Book thing where, you could document, you probably could, if someone researched it hard and had enough money to research it well, you would probably disprove, like I said, 90% of them, but there's going to be a percentage of them that you can't explain, these are legitimate salt of the earth people that have no ulterior motives in bringing these stories forward.
Mm-hmm. And
like you said, what the fuck is going on?
To me, the fact that they state we can't enter
unless you ask us,
that for whatever reason points towards demonic to me. But I'm not really a person that believes in demons, so I believe in the possibility, though. So that's the best explanation. Why else would they, for whatever reason, that just makes sense to me, the fact that they need permission to come in. Don't know why, don't have an explanation of why I feel that way, but I do. So why would an alien give a shit if they have permission to go in or not?
True. The other thing that I go back to is, if it is true, they need to come up with a better ruse.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
I need to go see a movie that just ended. My mama lost I lost my keys. My mama was worried about me.
Yeah, I'm a big Sub-Zero fan, so I gotta go see this movie. Like, you gotta let me in.
Wasn't Jean-Claude Van Damme in that one?
No, he was in Street Fighter.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Sorry. My bad. My bad. Recommendations of the week, and I'll kick us off this time. I recommend just doing your own research on this topic. Again, I want to reiterate the fact that if you have had an encounter, or you know someone that has had an encounter, and I'm not talking about my cousin's roommate twice removed back in college in 76. No, I'm talking about if you've had an encounter, or you personally know someone inside your circle of friends that's had an encounter, please let us know. You know, we'd love to hear from you.
Oh, we'll definitely give you some premium radio time.
Oh, premium. Premium.
I would like
to give a shout out. We have reached our 100th Instagram follower. We blew up in 2 weeks on Instagram.
Damn, man. We still got 115 on Twitter, but no big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. You still kicking my ass. And our 100th follower is the Bitches Be Like podcast.
Yeah, bitches be like that.
Yeah.
But bitches be like that sometimes.
But they are a true crime podcast that covers everything true crime. Give them a check out. They are two ladies that do that podcast, and they are on, both of them are on Instagram. Their podcast Instagram is at BBL Podcast Girls. Their individual Instagrams are at Marley F Baby and at C_Mary Jane. They have a Linktree account, Linktree /Bitches Be Like _podcast. I do love their name, and
they
I will be
sassy.
They do. I'm gonna start giving them a listen, and we'll get back to them. They publish like we do on Tuesdays. We are at a small milestone for our little
$2.
No, we're up to $4.
Nice.
On Radio Public, but also
how much? We
got to get 100.
Yeah, that's
before
what
they pay us.
Yeah. We got to make it worth printing the check.
Yeah. We have reached a milestone. We have had over 3,500 total listens since we started in 17 episodes.
Nice.
We are on a constant about 125 subscribers, and that fluctuates from week to week. We either go up a little bit or go down, but we're constant around 125 subscribers, and we really appreciate the fact that y'all are showing us a little bit of love out there. I think we're getting a little bit of a hold and getting a little more publicity.
Yeah, man, I think it's going well. People been pretty positive in general. I love constructive feedback, and they've been giving us that too. That's why we've changed some things, hopefully for the better. So any suggestion or any criticism will be welcomed.
That's right, and to take a page out of True Crime Garage, and one of your sayings. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell a wrestler.
Yeah.
Get us out there.
Tell a friend, tell a phone, tell a wrestler. My recommendation is I usually recommend a YouTube page. I'm actually going to recommend a specific YouTube video that I sent you earlier this week. It's the very first episode, the very first person I recommended is a man runs a page called That Chapter. It's very good. Awesome videos. But he released one earlier this week on Tuesday, and it's Unsolved Cold Cases with Updates 2019. That video blew my mind. Some of the updates, and specifically, he does about 10, 15 or so updates. But one specific one, about 2 or 3 minutes in, is the second one. And the Andrew Gosden update was crazy.
I'll have to watch
Crazy.
that one.
Oh, I sent it to you on Tuesday at 10:25.
I'm sorry.
And you haven't
Well, I will. In my defense,
Okay.
I've had training.
Okay.
I've worked 13-hour days,
But-
Wednesday, Thursday, and then today I had a lovely, good old 9-hour training on a fucking Friday.
Oof, nice. If you're not familiar with Andrew Gosden, he was a British child that suddenly went from his small hometown, hopped on a train, went to London,
Oh yeah.
and was never seen again. He's on surveillance video getting off the train, but there's an update to him. And man, I'm not going to spoil it, but go on there. If you're not familiar with that case, just look up Andrew Gosden, watch a little video on him, and then watch this video. It's crazy. It's crazy. So that's my recommendation, and that guy's awesome. He's a Twitter follower. So
Excellent. Excellent. If you are into the craft beer scene, there are 2 ladies that follow us on Instagram called Crafty Beer Moms. They're out of Maine. They are hilarious.
Man, I went to Maine last summer, and there are some definitely good craft beers up there.
They are. I mean, these ladies have yet to repeat themselves with all the craft beer they have been publicizing, and they really have a good time with it. They are just, 2 moms out there having a good time showing some craft beer
You gotta
love.
love women that drink beer, man. You just gotta love that.
Yes, they really do enjoy themselves. So shout out to them.
My poor wife, she hates beer, but man, she has been to over 100 breweries like a trooper. And to her credit, we tried. We tried for years to find something she liked. But no, not once. She has tried over 1,000 beers in her lifetime and hated every damn one of them.
We have not been able to procure because we can't get there, but and we've not given them a shout out in a while because we kind of like pounded that nail into the floor. But Bearded Iris did come out with a stout that is supposed to be similar to a Samoa cookie.
Ooh.
If any of our listeners out there would like to send us one, I would be dying to try it. It is supposed to have some dark chocolate overtones with coconut hints.
You do know I'm competing in Nashville tomorrow.
I know, but the last time you was in Nashville, you kind of like couldn't get over there because you was on the wrong side of town, and I don't blame you. But I got a 50
Well,
quart
that was
cooler.
different. I was competing at night. That was a super fight. This one's a tournament. I'm competing during the day.
Okay.
So we may be able to make it over there.
You procure anything from them, you just bring it on back to the basement. But with that said, Coach, you got anything else?
No, man, I'm good.
Excellent. All right, ladies and gentlemen, deuces.